They say the gods do not shout before they strike, they whisper. On the night, the sky bled red above the village. Even the bravest warriors trembled like newborn goats. The moon hid its face. The wind carried a smell no one could name. And before the cock crowed, something ancient had awakened. By morning, the elders gathered beneath the old neem tree, the tree that had witnessed births, wars, and betrayals. No birds sang that day. Even the goats refused to bleat. The oldest among them leaned on his carved staff and said nothing for a long while. Silence, my child, is sometimes louder than thunder.
This is not wind, this is warning.
There are laws older than kings. Laws whispered by ancestors and sealed with blood sacrifice. But 3 nights before the sky turned red, young men had entered the sacred grove, the forbidden forest of the river goddess. And they did not go there to pray.
Careful, the spirits watch us. There, the old shrine.
The sacred grove was not merely trees and soil. It was the resting place of oaths, of spirits, of the unseen watchers. 4 generations, no foot stepped there without cleansing rites. But greed makes a man deaf to warning drums. When fear began to chew their hearts, the young men came forward. Their leader could not meet the elders' eyes. His lips trembled as he spoke of gold hidden beneath shrine stones. Gold has buried more villages than war.
We only wanted to change our lives. We did not know you knew Obina.
Before sunset that same day, the village well dried. Water that had flowed for 100 seasons vanished as though swallowed by the earth. Women dropped their clay pots and began to wail. Water does not disappear without reason. Children see what adults ignore. A little girl, no more than 6 reigns old, said she saw a woman made of water standing near the grove. Her eyes were like the river at night. No one believed her until the goats began to die.
She said the land is angry.
At dawn, 3 goats lay stiff in the dust. No wound, no blood, just lifeless. Even the flies refused to land on them. Fear now walked openly in the village. When men cannot see the path, they call the one who walks between worlds. The diviner arrived before noon, wrapped in white cloth, eyes lined with sacred chalk. He did not greet anyone. He went straight to the grove. He emerged at dusk, trembling. His voice cracked like dry wood. The goddess demanded restoration, and blood would answer blood.
The goddess demands restoration, and blood will answer blood.
When the diviner spoke of blood, the air itself grew heavy. Not the blood of goats, not the blood of rams. The goddess demanded what was taken, sacred gold buried beneath holy ground. And if it was not returned, she would collect in her own way.
The land must be cleansed before the 3rd moon. Please, wise one, tell us what the goddess demands from us.
But pride is a stubborn goat. Some of the young men laughed in secret that night. Spirits do not eat gold, they said. Youth often mistakes patience for weakness.
It is only fear speaking through old mouths. I agree, nothing will happen.
Maybe they want it for themselves.
Before dawn, the sky roared without clouds. Thunder cracked across a clear horizon. Lightning struck the sacred baobab tree in the village center. And the tree did not burn, it split. The elders no longer debated. Their eyes had seen seasons beyond memory. They knew when a line had been crossed. And they knew when the unseen had begun to walk among the seen. That same night, a mother awoke screaming. She dreamt of the river rising without rain. She saw children floating where farms once stood. Dreams, my child, are doors spirits use when walls are closed.
Olama, what is this? Is it a bad dream?
She said we have stolen from her womb.
By midday, cracks began to snake across the farmland. Yam mounds split open. Cassava roots lay exposed. The soil looked like dry lips begging for water. The land itself had begun to protest. Then sickness came, swift and without mercy. A child collapsed near the well. No fever, no wound, just breath slipping like smoke. Fear now sat inside every home.
This illness has no name. I've never seen it before.
You mean nothing can be done to save my poor child? Please, do something, wise one.
Behind closed doors, the young men argued. The gold had already been melted and shared. Some had sent traders to distant markets. Greed now chained them to their mistake.
If we confess fully, we lose everything. If we do not, we lose more. He's right, things are getting out of hand. This is no longer a joke.
On the seventh day, a stranger entered the village, barefoot, calm, eyes too steady for an ordinary traveler. He asked for water, though none remained. And when he smiled, the dogs began to howl. The stranger sat beneath the broken baobab. He listened more than he spoke. Then he asked a question that silenced even the wind. Why does a child steal from its own mother? That night, the diviner trembled again. He said the stranger was not a man. He was a messenger, sent to witness whether repentance lived in the village. And if it did not, judgment would fall before the next full moon. Without rain, the river began to swell. Slowly at first, then with hunger. Fishermen watched their boats lift higher than they had in dry season. The mother had begun to reclaim her voice. On the ninth night, a scream tore the darkness. One of the young men was found near the grove. No mark on his body, but his eyes were open, as if he had seen something beyond breath. Now no one laughed. Mothers held their children tighter. Men who once mocked the elders avoided the grove path entirely. Fear had ripened into certainty. At last, the elders spoke what none wished to hear. The gold must be returned, every piece, and a cleansing sacrifice must be made before the third moon rises. But time was already running thin. The second moon rose thin and sharp, like a blade. No drums sounded that night. No stories were told. Even laughter had abandoned the village square. When fear lives long enough, it begins to feel like truth. At dawn, a mother's cry split the morning. Her son had vanished from his sleeping mat. No footprints, no broken door, only wet sand beneath the window. They found him where the river bends, laid gently on the shore, as if returned. His skin was cold, yet there were no signs of struggle. The river gives life, but it also remembers. Now the whispers grew teeth. Some blamed the young men. Some blamed the elders for not acting sooner. And some began to blame the stranger. When the shouting rose like wildfire, the stranger stood. His voice was neither loud nor angry, yet it cut deeper than insult. You fear the messenger, but not the sin. That night, the leader of the young men could not sleep. Every time his eyes closed, he saw water filling his mouth. He saw hands rising from beneath the river surface, and they were pulling him down. The gold lay buried beneath the floor of his father's compound, wrapped in cloth, silent, heavy. It did not shine anymore. It felt cursed. Before the next sunset, another body was found. This time, near the cracked farmland. Eyes open, mouth filled with dry soil. The land had begun to collect its debt. Even the elders were no longer united. Some demanded immediate sacrifice. Others insisted on patience and prayer. Division is the first fruit of fear. That evening, rain fell from a clear sky. Heavy, sudden, cold. Children screamed as drops struck like thrown pebbles. The gods were no longer subtle. The healer burned herbs until smoke filled his hut. He chanted ancient words taught by his father's father. But the spirits did not answer. Even the unseen had withdrawn. Guilt is heavier than iron. One of the young men broke before dawn. He ran to the elders and fell on his face. The gold is not gone. Under trembling voice, he revealed everything. Where it was hidden. Who had sold pieces. Who had lied. Secrets once buried now clawed into daylight. The father of the leader stood silent. His shoulders, once broad with pride, now sagged. A man's failure echoes beyond his own name. It stains his bloodline. The stranger spoke once more. Return what was taken before the moon grows round. For when it is full, mercy will no longer stand between you and judgment. They dug through the compound floor at night. Hands shaking, hearts racing. The cloth bundle emerged like a corpse from shallow grave. And no one dared touch it first. At dawn, the village formed a silent line. Men carried the gold toward the sacred grove. No drum, no chant, only footsteps and regret. As they approached, the forest grew still. No insects, no birds. Even the wind refused to move. The grove was listening. They placed the gold back beneath the shrine stone. Libation touched the earth. Prayers trembled from dry lips. And for a moment, nothing happened. Then a wind rose from nowhere, strong enough to bend trees. Yet it touched no man. It circled only the shrine. When the wind settled, a mark appeared on the shrine stone, cracked like a scar. This was not forgiveness. It was warning. Before they reached the village square, the leader collapsed. Foam touched his lips. His body trembled like a trapped animal. Judgment had chosen its door. On the third night, clouds gathered heavy and dark. Thunder rolled long before lightning showed itself. The full moon was rising behind the storm. The hour of decision had arrived. When they searched for the stranger, he was gone. No footprints, no farewell, only silence beneath the broken baobab. The witness had finished watching. Then the sky opened. Lightning struck the sacred grove. The earth shook like a drum beaten by giants, and the gods finally answered. When lightning struck the grove, the earth answered. Huts trembled like frightened children. Clay pots fell and shattered. The ground beneath the village had begun to shift. At the sacred grove, trees bent low as if bowing. Yet there was no flame, only a blinding white glow from within the shrine clearing. The gods had stepped closer to the living. The river swelled beyond its memory. Water tore through farmlands like a beast unchained. Crops vanished beneath churning brown waves. The mother was reclaiming what fed her. Inside his father's hut, the young leader gasped for air. His eyes searched for mercy that was no longer there. When the thunder cracked overhead, his breathing stopped. The first debt had been paid. His father stepped outside and tore his cloth in anguish. His cry rose above the storm, not against the gods, but against himself. For silence is also a sin. Before dawn, every household gathered. Proud heads bowed low into the mud. There was no more arguing, only repentance. The elders prepared the final cleansing. No gold, no animals, only confession, libation, and truth spoken aloud. For the gods hear what men try to bury. One by one, the young men stepped forward. They named their greed. They named their lies. They named the fear that made them choose wrongly. When the last word fell, the wind stopped. Birds did not sing. The river quieted. The world held its breath. From the cracked shrine stone, water began to trickle. Clear, gentle, pure. It flowed into the earth like forgiveness being written slowly. The scar remained, but it no longer bled. The heavy rain became gentle. Thunder rolled away into distant hills. The sky began to open like a wound closing. The anger had been heard. By midday, the river receded. It left mud and ruin behind, but no more death. The land, though wounded, was breathing again. Mercy had walked among judgment. At sunset, he appeared once more, standing where the baobab had split. No one asked how he returned. Some truths do not need explanation. He looked at them not with anger, but with knowing the land is not cruel. It only remembers balance. Then he turned toward the forest. He walked into the trees. The shadows swallowed him. No branch cracked. No footprint remained. The days that followed were heavy with work. Broken farms were replanted. Homes repaired. But pride was never rebuilt. A new law was carved into wood. No man would enter the sacred grove without full counsel. No treasure would outweigh tradition again. Memory had become teacher. Where the baobab once stood, nothing was planted. The ground was left bare. A reminder that some scars must remain visible, so that history does not repeat itself. And so, seasons passed. Children gathered beneath the neem tree. They asked why the center of the village was empty. And the elders began this story. The gods are not hungry for gold. They are hungry for balance. When man forgets his place within the land reminds him. Remember this, my child. The greatest theft is not of treasure. It is the theft of respect. And respect once stolen demands repayment. That night, the moon rose round and gentle. No red sky, no thunder, only quiet. The river returned to its song. Children bathed at its edge once more. Life moved forward, but it never forgot. And when the elder finishes this tale, he pauses, because silence carries weight, and some lessons must settle slowly. The village angered the gods, but it was greed that invited them, and it was humility that sent them away. That is the law older than kings. Listen closely when the wind passes through trees. It carries memory. It carries warning. It carries wisdom. As the fire beneath the neem tree dies low, the elder leans back. The story has ended, but the lesson remains awake. Far beyond the village, the sacred grove stands quiet, not angry, not pleased, simply watching. Balance had returned, not because the gods forgot, but because the people remembered. And remembrance is power. And so, my child, if ever you see a sky turn red, ask not what the gods are doing, ask what men have done.